All right, so Walters and Wolf's lean journey. Where did we start? We started with this crazy guy, Paul Akers. We were looking for some way. I mean, all companies are always doing some form of continuous improvement. Otherwise, we would be going nowhere. So, I think this people are naturally hardwired to improve things. It's just there was no construct or no systematic way. And I know I had been searching for. I've been with Walters and Wolf almost 38 years since we started, and we've been trying to do improvements every year. And we have the yearly strategy meetings and blah blah blah, all that normal crap. And it was just like trying to push a truck uphill. It just everything was so slow coming. So all of a sudden we heard about this 2-second lean thing, and said, "I can't be that simple." So we went up and saw this crazy guy named Paul Akers. I don't know how many of you have met Paul, but he's definitely one of a kind. And we did a tour there, and it was really the time he spent with us after the tour that we just were like, wow, could it really be that way? Could it be that easy? Is there really a construct or a system to systematically improve things where you can get everyone in the company involved, and the people who are actually doing the work are the ones who actually get to improve the work they're doing, not managers going off to some yearly strategic meeting and coming back with all these great ideas and trying to implement them, and everybody's going, oh, here they come again, right? And it seemed like something that I don't know, really spoke to us. So we started down that journey with Paul. First thing we did is I took the senior management group. There's 9 of us, and it's really comprised of the VPs, and pretty much everybody in the company reports to someone that is on that senior management group. So I said, guys, if we're gonna do lean, or try to get our people to do lean, or try to introduce this transformation, we need to learn what the heck it is first. So we made that commitment as a leadership team, and we did that in our yearly planning meeting instead of come up with a bunch of silly ideas. And really, our first year was really the leadership team learning lean by doing it ourselves and learning. And again, we're trying to do it more the traditional TPS, or Toyota Production System method. To help us learn, we went through these books, and this is kind of how we've been dissecting books. The group will read a chapter or 2, or 3 in this case. I think we were doing disc on this one. Pick out a couple, basically what we're calling a distinction, something verbatim out of the book that we thought was powerful, and then we write down how we would apply that at Walters and Wolf. And then we write down, what we think, what value that would add if we did apply that distinction or that principle. And then we share all these and we discuss them. And so this is an office one here. Let me grab this.
Hello again, it's Joelle in Las Vegas. Today's segment is basically key drama. We have various keys for vehicles, doors, etc. They're kept in this little tiny box, and every morning.
Uh-oh, did I screw that up?
No, you're right. Did it again.
Various vehicles out of the yard so that we can access the yard and the warehouse area. Yes, they're labeled, but as you can see, in no order whatsoever. Here's a nice little list that tells the user which vehicle is which number to which key, and that just has been totally unsuccessful. So stay tuned as we fix what bugs us today. Thank you. So what I decided to do was create more of a visual control for each vehicle and the keys associated with that vehicle. I took a picture of each vehicle. I identified which vehicle it was, the ID number, who drives it, and where it is to be stored. I'm hoping that this ends our key drama. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
The root cause, at least for the last year or so, the root when we do the problem solving, the root cause always seems to be that we have no standard on how to do this process. That's how the defect in the problem came about. So we started this thing called mini Kaizens. I can kind of show you what the mini Kaizens are about. We started developing standards. This is one of our first mini Kaizens. We had so much waste in our meetings. I don't know how you guys are with meetings, but everyone started noticing all the waste we have when we just have a meeting at our place. There's so many hours. The meetings are required. We need to get the group together. We need to figure out what our actions are, make decisions. But there was no standard. People call them meetings. There's no agendas. Nobody knew what the objective of the meeting was. No one was prepared. People were showing up late to the meetings. The documents, stuff that people needed to study before the meeting so we could have an effective meeting, nobody got them. The people would unroll things for the first time. There was just tons of waste in our meetings. So we decided we're going to standardize our meetings. And that took us about 6 months. But I'm happy to say we now have standard meetings. So this is kind of what came out of that mini Kaizen. This is our meeting template. The blue is basically the instructions. You replace the blue with the actual content. Every meeting has to have an objective. Every meeting needs to have what the desired outcome is going to be. We discovered after doing some process mapping with meetings and doing a SIPOC that those are a couple of the Toyota tools that on the SIPOC we realized that the customer in a meeting is the attendees of the meeting, and whoever the meeting organizer is needs to add value to the customer, which is the attendees. So you need to make sure that the meeting is very well prepared, that we have an objective, everyone knows what their role is, and then we come out of the meeting with decisions documented, what it is we're supposed to do. And I would say more than any single thing that our company has felt is so that people can understand what a standard is standardizing our meetings. It's had a bigger impact than I could have ever imagined. And no agenda, you don't have to go to the meeting. If the organizer hasn't followed the standard, nobody shows up for the meeting. So it works pretty good.
This is George. Nick, you had one thing that Turner Construction could improve, how we do business with you day to day. Maybe what's your top 2 or 3?
I think Turner's focus on the last planner system is a great move in that direction. I was trying to relate that to we haven't had a chance except for on on that Henderson Hospital job with you guys to really participate much in that in the last planner system, actually being used on a project. But I was thinking the master, kind of looking at the 5 elements of the last planner and what's synonymous with lean. It's kind of looking at the first element of the master schedule. I think if I were going to what part of TPS or lean is that synonymous with, I would say identifying the customer needs, so what the customer demand is. That's the pool, and it sets a milestone, setting the milestone in the strategy. And then the pool planning, the handoffs and identifying the conflicts. I think that can eliminate a lot of waste of waiting and the motion and the over processing, transportation defects. So I think that element focuses a lot on MUDA, eliminating the waste of MUDA. the make work ready, you know, looking out ahead, obviously making sure that when you know the trades show up to do the work, that it's ready for them to do the work, and that can eliminate all the same waste, all the 8 wastes of MUDA, just like pool planning. The weekly work planning, I think this is a clarity issue, you know, commitments to do the work in a certain way, in a certain sequence, again, eliminates waste. And I think it helps develop a standard and predictable outcome. So you're getting, you know, standardization involved in the construction process with the subs. I think that's awesome. And then the 5th element, the learning, I think that's synonymous with the Hansei. You know, what worked, what were our metrics, how did we measure our success, what didn't work, you know, doing the reflection and trying to get to some of the root cause of some of the problems that the team experienced together, and what could be improved on the next project so that we don't have those same problems repeat. Because that's one thing that, you know, in our operations, every time I see a problem, it's not a new problem. It's the same problem that we've dealt with before. It just looks a little bit differently this time. You know, it's just wearing different color lipstick. That's all. It's the same problems and defects that we deal with over and over and over again. They're just dressed a little different. So I think with what you're focusing on, George, is, you know, can definitely eliminate a lot of waste in the construction process with, you know, with the trades.
This week we're going on a lean journey down to Walters & Wolff in Fremont, California, down in the San Francisco Bay Area. About a year ago, Walters & Wolff adopted the 2-second lean model, and they're doing a fantastic job. They have a beautiful facility, and what they do is they manufacture the curtain walls or all the glazing you see on the outside of a lot of the big high-rises up and down the West Coast. Very sophisticated operation. We're going to hear from Nick Cosell, the COO, a good friend of mine.
We really wanted to kind of visually demonstrate and communicate to our people what our plan was for this year.
Okay.
So rather than the old boring strategic plan, you know, when the managers go off to their yearly planning meeting, instead we kind of wanted to lay it out visually what we were planning on working on this year. And Paul, here you are. This is kind of where we got started.
Hey, that makes me look a little fatter than I am, Nick. You're hurting me.
Oh, it's
man.
Probably just because, you know, like the TV makes you look fatter. It's probably the
there you
posters
go.
make people look fatter.
Okay.
So this is kind of the path of where we've been. And this is kind of entering into our next year, and what we're hoping to do, which is standardize some of our big processes.
Okay.
We wanted to really kind of find a sensei to help teach us the tools, so that we can learn the tools and use them ourselves. And this kind of road kind of simulates what we think are going to be our obstacles. So these are kind of our.
Tell me about the ego. Why is that a big deal?
Well, I think my way is the best, is only way, is, you know, people are very individual, and they all believe that the way that they're doing their process is the best. So that's going to be a big obstacle, is getting people to, you know, seek that consensus on what really is the best way, so that we can have a standard to improve from.
Has there been any secret to making that happen?
I'll let you know, actually, once we can actually make it happen.
Well, I think you are making it happen. So how come it's happened so effectively in 1 year for you?
I think it's because we're not telling our people the best way to do their process. They're deciding on the best way to do their process. So it's definitely.
So there's lots of ownership.
The person who's doing the work is the one that knows the best way to do it. That's what we've been taught, right? So this is those functional silos between departments that we're, you know, desperately trying to break down. Really, we don't want different departments. We're all the same department trying to deliver the same product to the customer.
I like you have a team sport here too. That's good. So this is a team sport, the company, as opposed to a bunch of different silos.
Yeah, so the, you know, fear of change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was obviously a fear of failure is another big one. You know, people don't want, but this really is. I think that's key, is not worrying about trying something new and having it not work.
So you get past these things: departmental walls, fear of change, failure of or fear of failure, and then you break through. That's the breakthrough moment.
Right, and then you know, at that point we you know we laugh about this all the time, but you know, it's really quite simple. But it's hard work. Little
It's
guy
keeping
kinda-
it simple and hard work.
If it were easy, anybody, anybody and everybody would be doing it. So it was a
And
lot of
all the way up
cool
to
little nuggets.
2016. So this will just continue to develop.
Yeah, that we were trying to show that the journey is really never going to end. It's just
Right.
going to keep on going.